Server response in JMeter. We are focusing on server response. As an example, we can consider this assertion control panel with a pattern. The response assertion control panel lets you add pattern strings to be compared against various fields of the request or response. Pattern strings are contains and matches. These are Perl style regular expressions. Equals and substring. These are plain text and case sensitive. You can also choose whether the strings will be expected to match the entire string, entire response, or if the response is only expected to contain the pattern. You can attach multiple assertions to any controller for additional flexibility. Note that the pattern string should not include enclosing the delimiters, that is, use price semicolon backward slash d plus, not / price colon backward slash d plus / by default, pattern is in multi-line mode, which means that the dot meta character does not match new line. In multi-line mode, caret and $ match the start and end or any line anywhere within the string, not just start and end of the entire string. Note that backward slash s does not match new line. The case is also significant. Here you can see attribute or parameter name, descriptive name for this element that is shown in the tree. You can see applied to attribute. This is for use with samples or samplers that can generate subsamples. For example, HTTP sampler with embedded resources, mail reader, or samples generated by the transaction controller. Main samples only applies to the main sample. Subsamples only applies to the subsamples. Main and subsamples applies to both. JMeter variable name to use. Assertion is to be applied to the content of the named variable. This attribute is required attribute, and here you can see a field to test. Instruct JMeter which field of the request or response to test. Test response, the response text from the server, that is the body excluding any HTTP headers. Response code, that is for example 200. Response message, for example OK. Response headers, including set cookie headers if any. URL sampled, and document text, the extract from various type of documents via Apache Tika. Ignore status, instruct JMeter to set status to success initially, and ignore initially. The overall success of the sample is determined by combining the result of the assertion with the existing response status. When ignore status checkbox is selected, the response status is forced to successful before evaluating the assertion. HTTP responses with statuses in the 4xs and 5xs ranges are normally regarded as unsuccessful. The ignore status checkbox can be used to set the status successful before perform further checks. Note that this will have the effect of clearing any previous assertion failures, so that make sure that this is only set on the first assertion. Fail to test attribute is a required parameter, and ignore status attributes also a required parameter. Now here you can see pattern matching rules attribute indicates how the text being tested is checked against the pattern. Contains true if the text contains the regular expression pattern. Matches true if the whole text matches the regular expression pattern. Equals true if the whole text equal the pattern string, case sensitive. Substring true if the text contain the pattern string, case sensitive. Equals and substring patterns are plain strings, not regular expressions. Not may also be selected to invert the result of the check or apply each assertion in OR combination. If one pattern to test matches, assertion will be okay instead of and all patterns all patterns must match so that assertion is okay. This pattern matching rules attributes is a required parameter. Patterns to test attribute, a list of patterns to be tested. Each pattern is tested separately. If a pattern fails, then further patterns are not checked. There is no difference between setting up one assertion with multiple patterns and setting up multiple assertions with one pattern each, assuming other options are the same. However, when ignore status checkbox is selected, this has the effect of cancelling any previous patterns effect of cancelling any previous assertion failures. So make sure that the ignore status checkbox is only used in the first assertion. Pattern to test attribute is a required parameter. Now we are as an example, we can consider class response assertion in package org.apache.jmeter.assertions. Test element to handle response assertions. See assertion GU for GUI. Now we are considering adding a response assertion in building an LDAP test plan. You can add a response assertion. Here the LDAP response assertion. You can add the response assertion element. This element will check the received response data by verifying if the response is successful. Add, then assertion, then response assertion. Note if this position in the tree, this position in the tree, the response assertion will be executed for each LDAP request. First, select text response radio button in the response field test, response field to test group. Select substring radio button in pattern matching pattern to test in pattern matching rules group. 3, click add button and add the string successful in the pattern to test field. Here you can see LDAP response assertion. As an example, as an error example, we can consider this result: assertion error false, assertion failure true, assertion failure message, test failed, test expected not to contain / invalid username or password. Here, by looking at the HTTP response, we can see that actually this is a 200 code. This is a response from screen with to enter username and password. In the body you can see here invalid username and password, signon failed. So based on the default validation, this will be considered okay, and the script will continue even if you are configured to stop on an error. And this will lead to errors at some point because you are not logged in. So, and they will be more difficult to understand since they occur later on. Well, assertions allow you to fail this step so that you quickly understand where the problem comes from. In this situation, we could check that we do not have an invalid logging message.